Yeah. I know.
All right, we're good.
Hi guys, it's me again. I'm popping up everywhere. So now on Instagram, was on Facebook, I live everywhere. Anyway, I'm going to tell you guys what I've been working on, and those of you that missed it earlier, I'm recreating my modern chignon, and as you can see, we created this really skinny pie shape. Delia says that it's the pie shape that if you're on a diet over the holidays, like that's the size you need. But this is really about, oh, that's it right there. Cool. Yeah. So this photo was so popular online that I said, you know what, let me show them how to create something like this. When I look at it, it makes me think of the holidays. It makes me think of like dinner parties and events and New Year's Eve parties, and you'd be like the talk of the town with this. And I also talked about how I love adding like random embellishments to the hair. Like, how beautiful is this gold thread, this gold string, rope? It's something I picked up at Michael's. Comes in so many different colors, the metallics. This was one, it came in like a really beautiful blue metallic. You know, I was thinking about this as well, and the other thing I thought about was how braids are so popular, but not everybody knows how to braid, and this gives you a braid type feel with just wrapping and twining rope around it. So, you know, it occurred to me that sometimes we all have like handicaps as hairdressers, but we still want to be able to create beautiful work. So this is a great way to do that. And just looking at it by itself, like, it's so pretty, and I want to look at it, and it's attractive, and it's not a hair accessory that I paid $50 for in, you know, an accessory store. It's something that we made, which is hairdressers, we're artists, and we make things and repurpose things all the time.
Well, the holidays are right around the corner. You'll never have the same hair with someone else at the party.
Ever. It's like wearing the same dress. You can never have the same hairdo.
No.
Oh my gosh, I'd be mortified. So I did my first pony, and I talked a lot about directionally blow drying the hair with the intention to kind of put it back into a ponytail. Sometimes people have cowlicks, and if you don't think about the end in mind, you end up into all kinds of trouble because you're wondering why your hair won't work for you, and it's because you didn't do the prep stages. I'm very passionate about kind of understanding, learning more about the art of hairdressing and how to do things right from the beginning, so that way there's a flow all the way to the end and you don't have difficulties and problems because your hair didn't support what you were trying to do. That was a one breather. Okay, so now I want to see some varying direction with the sides and that top, because even though she has a slicked back style, doesn't mean that it has to be all slicked back. We see the traditional center part. We see I'm wearing a side part today. It's like, those are common. How uncommon is it to see something that has a triangular parting in the front and everything else around it? So it's all about taking something that is super simple and unexpected, but that's the game changer. That's the thing that makes your style and what you put on your clients. We talked a lot about signature with Delia's haircut earlier on Facebook Live. So again, it's about creating your signature. So,
What kind of brush are you using?
This is the equivalent to a Mason Pearson. I found this at Ricky's. I'm a big fan of Ricky's New York. For those of you that don't know, it's also where I picked up these silicone rubber bands I talked about earlier. Really using tools that work for you. You know, there's so many different methods of putting hair in a ponytail, and there's so many different methods of what to use, how to use it, that I myself personally, something that people say, oh, this is supposed to be the best, isn't always the best for me. Like, sometimes it's really great for other people and they find a rhythm in using that item or that thing or that product, but you really do have to trial and error for yourself so that you can see what works in your hands, what works with your body positioning, and what gives you the best control and manipulation of hair. So I left out her hairline because I want to be able to use that as extra hair that I wrap around the ponytail. You know, a professional ponytail never has a rubber band or hair band revealed. You always want to make sure that's the telltale sign of an amateur versus a professional ponytail is when you just kind of have that band and it's just revealed and exposed. And so I'm going to take this embellishment and I'm gonna join it in with the ponytail that's on the bottom. So got a good grip there and just letting that fall through. I think I'm gonna be able to get it. Again, one of the things I talked about why I love this silicone band was the fact that it doesn't move. It actually has such a great grip. It's like anything else silicone that you use, like in your kitchen, for example. It kind of just stays put. And it's a great conductor of heat. Not that I'm gonna put heat near it, but. So now I'm gonna take my sides. Where's that spray that we love, the rose, the Oil Wonder Rose from Matrix? I'm obsessed with this right now. This is my new favorite hairspray. Like, it is the most beautiful smelling hairspray that I've ever used, and I will never use another.
You're never say never.
I know, but I love rose anything.
Yes.
Like, I love it. Like love it with my heart. So I'm just gonna take this and wrap it around.
And Michelle, what's your Instagram handle for those wondering?
It's Michelle O'Connor Beauty. So all I did was take that and wrap it around. And I'm going to take one of these. These are another one of my favorites. They're from Sheer World. They're Japanese hairpins. And they're just so secure that I find that anytime I use them, if I want something that has a really tight grip, that's my go-to. Okay, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Easy enough. You guys with me? Uh-oh. One of the things I notice is I see like a little bit of rippling, which I don't like, so I take my tail comb and just kind of pull above. Just take the tail comb on the surface and just reposition. The other side looks good. Okay. So just brush this down. So you see, you guys, everything doesn't have to cost like $200. This is, I do have a Mason Pearson. I do love Mason Pearson brushes, but I lose them so frequently that I found that I just could not keep replacing them. So I have that I like keep under lock and key, but then I also have these brushes from Ricky's that are basically duplicates, and they're just as beautiful, and they come in also a lot of different shapes. Like there's square ones and there's round ones, and I get on very well with them.
And guys, for those of you who are just joining us, this is Michelle O'Connor, and she is doing a modern chignon updo, kind of with a holiday inspiration here.
Oh yes, holiday, Thanksgiving, New Year's, all of that. Yes. I think you uploaded a video of me the other day, like singing Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas songs, which was quite humiliating, but like that's who we are when we're goofing around. So hey, why hide it?
That's what colleagues and friends are for. Your moments.
Okay. So you see, this creates another type of look. It's changing the direction of things, and it's unexpected, but it is again a point of interest, and it's all about small, little, subtle points of interest. So now what I'm going to do is I have loved creating all this sleek texture, but I'm a texture girl. This is sleek texture, but I'm a texture girl. So you know I have to put some texture in this. So now I'm gonna work from the bottom up, and I'm gonna take my, you know, everybody's got one, the Samvia crimping iron. Just gonna move this out of the way, ever so gently. And I didn't want texture, texture anywhere else in the hair. I wanted this to be sleek, but I wanted this to have like some pattern and some elements of, you know, 3-dimension. So again, with my Oil Wonder Rose, and I'm just gonna go in with my crimping iron. You know what? Okay, good, it's on. I was gonna fire you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm trying to be a good assistant.
I'm just kidding. You're supposed to anticipate my needs.
It's been a minute since I've assisted.
Don't get fired on camera. It's not gonna be pretty.
Oh no, you're gonna be dramatic. I'm still gonna show up to work tomorrow.
Like nothing.
Like nothing.
And she will, because
Yep.
you're just that crazy.
Yep. How far down do you go with that? All the way down?
I'm gonna go all the way down, and
Do you always go all the way down? Would you just do it in an area?
it depends on what you want to see. I'm gonna see this strand of hair from the top to the bottom because it's chignon that kind of cascades and twirls up almost into like a figure 8. So I am going to make sure that this is all the way to the tips so that I don't have any missing areas of texture.
If somebody had really thick hair, would you still use the
Um,
curving iron, or is it for any particular density?
I liked to see this texture in the hair. This mannequin doesn't have thin hair. She's kind of in the middle, medium. If someone had super, super, super thick hair and you still wanted this to have like a really beautiful element, I would evaluate what was happening in the hair. For example, if someone has like beautiful color and there's variations and there's highs and there's lows, that is going to be the accent. That will act as a something that's also very visually interesting. But if the hair color is, you know, more solid, then that's definitely something for you to evaluate and kind of look at other areas where you could beef up that visual interest. And so for this mannequin who's basically blonde with just very, very, very slight variation, texture is what's going to add that interest. On the photo that was on Instagram, that model had variations of red and pink, and when I swirled the chignon up in that figure 8 with the rope around it, it was just so appealing because of all that was happening. It was a swirl, it was a figure 8, it was dimensional color. So these are things to think about when you are doing hairstyles. It's the same reason why when we look at like braided styles, that you could do it on a brunette who is more of a one-dimensional flat brunette, and it could be just as beautiful as someone that was blonde and had highs and lows, but there's something missing. And that element that's missing is gonna be the color and the highs and the lows, and that's why it doesn't quite carry off or look the same. And as I get to the ends, I'm not even combing through that. I'm just kind of continuing to go over.
And why are you not combing through it?
Because that, again, it's like those hairs on the bottom are very intertwined, and it's going to be texture upon texture. So like, I don't need those to be perfect. I comb through the bulk of the hair, but when I get to the ends, I don't need those to be perfect. It's just gonna add to the dimension of the texture. So I'm really just taking slivers. Be mindful not to go too thick. She actually doesn't have thin hair, this mannequin. So again, what happens is you end up having like a whole hollow midsection. So again, you guys, this becomes redundant, but you know how to crimp and you know how to create.
Would you always use a hairspray?
You
Is there anything else you would use?
You do, and that's why it is important, because products teach and tell the hair what to do. Like, I need this hair to stay in this crimped pattern, and so I need the hairspray to have that element of hold so that when I'm actually going in and crimping, that it'll stay. And
it also gives a deeper impression.
For sure.
So.
And helps aid in the hair being sort of malleable. And laying everything down. The thing about texture is that, you know, don't be fooled. Like, even though you have texture, like, it has to be purposeful. Like, you just can't have something that's frizzy and say, oh, like, I was just creating texture. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, even if you are creating texture, like, for example, say you were creating something like big and bountiful, even within that texture, you have to have a silhouette. You have to have a shape. You have to have some kind of pattern, whether it's repeating or alternating. Like, there has to be a rhyme and a reason. So I talk a lot about doing things with intention and doing things where you have the end in mind. And in having that end in mind, sometimes it's the picture that you hold in your head. So you hold that picture in your head of what you would visually like something to look like, and you work backwards. And you say, okay, it's kind of like math. So in essence, hairdressers are mathematical people, because we do have to backtrack and we do have to kind of have the final answer and then figure out what the equation is. I never thought I was a math person.
You're not.
I know what 20% off and 50% off means.
You know what the 20% tip is? Yeah.
I do. Right.
So, do you use kind of unconventional things usually to style hair, maybe holiday hair, embellishments?
I do. Like, I'm a respecter of rules, and I think that you need to understand them to be able to break them. So again, don't think that you can just throw everything out the window and not have any sort of foundation. I'm a respecter of the hair industry and the greats that came before us, and the fact that there was always a foundation and there was always a rhyme and a reason to things. And that's why when we look at hair from like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, it was always so done and coiffed and like beautiful. And I know that over time we've become a lot more casual about our looks and what we do with hair, and there's definitely a place for that done and undone look. But even in getting that stuff done, there's a roadmap and there's a way to get there. It's kind of think of makeup. I think of how like the no makeup thing became a thing, and how it really wasn't no makeup. It was actually a lot of makeup, strategically placed. So nothing is ever really that easy. And even with clothing, like when people are like, oh, I don't try so hard, I just threw on a scarf and I just threw on this, there was effort and there was strategy to all of that. So there's no such thing as completely effortless without effort.
Well, it's establishing the rules, following them, and then throwing in your mix and breaking them.
Agreed. I think you feel me sometimes.
Yin and yang. I gotcha. I'm trying to be a good assistant.
So you guys, I know this is like so boring right now, but I promise you, like, I'm almost done. And then we're gonna go to like the fun stuff. I feel like an after-school special right now. Then we're gonna go to the fun stuff. Then you get to break out your crayons. No, I'm kidding.
Can you remind the people who just joined kind of what your overall look is and where you are with that?
Absolutely. For those that have just joined, what I'm working on right now is called the Modern Chignon. I'll show it to you. There's an image of it. This photo was so popular online that I wanted to share it with you and kind of show you the breakdown and the behind the scenes and how I recreate that look. I thought it was something that a lot of you would enjoy recreating for the holidays, for New Year's. I did a version of this on my niece for prom, and she had not a chignon, but she did have this rope accent, and she was like the best dressed, and she was like Queen of the Nile. I'm not tooting my own horn, am I?
It's okay.
Sometimes
you have to toot your own horn a little bit.
I try. I have to be humble.
You are humble.
I am.
And hardworking.
Yes. My miles on.
All right, so
The
you're
home
finished.
stretch.
Yeah, finishing
Home
up the last
stretch,
crimping
you guys.
section.
Okay.
Amazing.
Now we get to brush it out. So you see all that like texture. It's not wild, it's not crazy. It's just kind of enough to create like impressions in the hair. So your job's coming up
Okay.
next. Okay.
I'm on call.
So what I did was I folded it, and I'm going to take the string. So slight twist and fold. Okay, so we have to think, I want this to almost emulate like a figure 8. So I'm pushing this over here, and I'm going to take my string and we'll pull it out and kind of create more exaggeration.
Do you need me
When,
to hold it?
yeah, I may need you to come on this side to just kind of, actually, I can pin this up out of the way.
Oh, come on that side.
Okay. There we go. Darn string.
Bad assistant for sure.
Okay, so I need you to just hold that up and actually just use, yeah, you're gonna replace my hand, okay? So I'm going to just anchor it by going on top of her hand and creating a knot. And then you can create another one just to kind of be on the safe side. And this time I'll double knot it. And I'm actually squeezing this so that there is an explosion on the top and the bottom. We want this to be relatively tight. It's about, okay, you can look on that. It's about varying patterns living together. So you see that twist in there, and the key is to actually hide that. So I'm going to wrap this around. You don't have to hold this one anymore, and you can actually go on this side of me. Yeah, yeah, you can let go of that. So just twining this around, and around. And every time I wrap it around, I'm actually securing it a little bit tighter. Just pull and stretch. And again, the reason why I talked about doing that is so that there's almost like an explosion on the bottom of it. We want that to be puffy. Okay, I think that's enough. So I'm gonna make sure you give yourself enough so that you have some control over it. So again, I talked about loving these Japanese pins. I'm going to just take it and go straight down, anchoring it in with the rope. And I'll probably just do a couple of them. You won't see that part because it's actually going to lie or lay right on the nape of her neck. And just putting 2 of them in there, so you're not missing anything if you can't see this part. You know, guys, I almost put this in my mouth because I'm a bad hairdresser sometimes, and I do naughty things like stick brushes in my head and put bobby pins in my mouth, and sorry, don't tell the state board on me. Okay. Okay, so there goes my
3-second
comb.
roll.
There goes my comb on the floor. Nobody saw that.
3-second roll. It's all
Nobody
good.
saw that. Okay, so I'm just twisting this to exaggerate it. Pulling it out, but reinforcing the twist. Okay, and then So definitely, obviously, by this point, you realize that this has to be on someone that has longer hair, right? So it's already in like a twisting formation. So all you have to do, I like to just kind of gather my ends with a bobby pin and just kind of fold it on itself and insert, right? And keep adding bobby pins as needed. And exaggerating that twist, spray is going to be your friend. Remember, this came up, so don't go down. Okay?
Is this on your Instagram page? This look?
This look is on my Instagram page, you guys.
What's your Instagram?
It's Michelle O'Connor Beauty. And another good thing, another good reason to use a can is to actually spray and seal. Because it doesn't stick. Sometimes you know how hair sticks to your hands. This is a great way to kind of polish things without having it stick. So. Okay. And then shine spray. But this is the look, you guys. What do you think? New Year's 2018?
Yes.
Thanks for joining me and thanks for following me from Facebook Live to Instagram. Love you guys. See you later.